This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where tonight my friends and I will be playing the Mothership role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is Omni Ignotem pro Magnifico Est. I wrote it, and I am the warden, and this is a one-shot. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Your ship flies silently through the cosmic void, and slowly, the stars shift position. You're headed towards the star Lakai 3592. It's a little less than 11 light years away. There is a world that has been discovered in the habitable zone, and your job is to survey it. You're currently about 3 weeks away from the planet, and you have been revived so that you can get back into shape. Our stasis pods do prolong your life for extended periods, but your muscles atrophy if you stay under for too long. You're gathered now for breakfast, having woken up about 40 minutes ago. This is the first time you've seen each other in a few months, although it seems like just minutes ago since you woke up. What are you guys doing?
Dr. Singh, good to see you. Mr. Kane, or Sergeant.
Good morning, Doctor.
Lot, how are you this morning?
I am well. It is good to see you all again. As you know, I'm mostly online while you are.
Right. Do we have some exercise equipment that we can work with?
Yes, and you are currently being served pancakes, sausage, eggs. All of it's replicated to the point where you really can't tell the difference from the real thing anymore.
Then I am stuffing myself with them. I am, hungry after all this.
Very hungry.
Lot, I expect you have some reports on the LJ cultures I was having you watch.
Yes, I will have them sent to your pad.
Anything out of the ordinary?
Nothing exciting to report.
And is VAT6 recovering as expected?
More or less.
Okay, well, we may have to baby it a little bit, but we should be able to get there. No problem.
And Lot, have you caught up with the standard equipment checks? Everything in order?
Yes, everything is in order. I perform them weekly while you were resting.
Kane, I see you're doing some 12-ounce curls there.
Yeah.
Hey, you get your exercise any way you can get it.
Yeah,
Don't
especially
overdo it,
while
gentlemen.
eating breakfast.
Don't overdo it.
I call it multitasking.
As you're sitting there, wolfing down your food, it dawns on you very slowly that, I don't know, something in the sausage doesn't taste right. Yeah, I mean, it's not foul, but it's odd, metallic, almost tasting. Of course, Lot doesn't actually eat or taste, so.
Does this taste off to you guys?
I was thinking the same thing. Excuse me, gentlemen.
Lot, you sure you did the checks on the food?
Everything has monitored and been within acceptable parameters. I am unable to taste and make any distinction between what real sausage and this synthetic or replicated sausage, or what sausage even tastes like, to make any sort of comparison. But I will take your word for it that something is wrong.
I was thinking maybe my taste buds were messed up because I was in cryo for so long, but it's not just me.
No, I spit it out and I could still taste it. It's almost bitter.
You, you
Perhaps we should take a sample and have it analyzed, just in case.
and I want to do a quick check. As you said, it tasted metallic. It's not like coppery, like blood. Am I like bleeding out of my mouth or something?
More
No,
like iron.
no, yeah, it's odd. Yeah, it's like iron or something. Um, you take a sample of the stuff on your plate, and what are you going to do? Compare it to the replicator?
Yeah, if we have a few, I might try to see if there's any active pathogens or anything in it. Put it under the microscope is probably my first thought.
Well, the special reason why it's odd is because those sausages, no matter what, they should all taste identical. They should all taste exactly like they should, because they are molecularly identical to the original sausages. When you produce a sample from the replicator, that shows up on the scanner to be perfectly normal. The one that came off your plate seems to have been altered molecularly somehow. And it would have had to have happened between the replicator and the plate.
Somebody playing a practical joke here?
Hmm.
If so, it's not funny, but please let me know.
I think the only one awake would be Lot, and Lot doesn't seem to be in a joking mood usually.
No. See, I have very little sense of humor, but I don't see any humor in altering the food. That would make no sense.
Maybe we should just check our scanners quick and see if we've passed through any kind of subspace field or something that might have caused an actual molecular change in the.
I'll bring up the passive scans that are done as we're passing through space for the last couple of days.
You start to check through the scan logs, and you discover that about 4 weeks ago, there was a radiation burst, and it altered the gamma ray burst altered parts of the components in the machinery and the
plates even.
shielding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the plates possibly too. Nothing happened since then, although if you do an immediate check, you do seem to be in the middle of a radiation burst. You were completely safe inside your pods, but you're currently experiencing a higher level of radiation. Nothing lethal, but it's coming from somewhere.
Interesting. This was not, you would think I would receive some sort of warning message while we're passing through this, but I did not.
We should check if it's aboard the ship. Yeah, I heard coming from somewhere, but we should check if it's something faulty with the ship first. And I would like to go to my equipment locker, wherever I keep it, and grab out the Geiger counter I had and sort of start patrolling the ship looking for a
I'm going to
source.
start a full systems diagnostic on all the systems to see if there's anything.
I'm gonna start.
I'm gonna take the sausage and leftover food to the lab and start looking at it through the microscope and doing more analysis just to see if there is anything more than we're seeing right now with it.
I'm going to help Dr. Singh because 2 scientist heads are better than 1.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
You bet.
I'd like to start scanning both the sausage, and then I would like to get the Geiger counter and scan Lot with it to make sure Lot's not
Okay.
the source.
John, when you start with the Geiger counter, it's definitely picking up more than just than background radiation. So there is definitely a higher level of radiation. Um, why don't you roll a 50-50, and we'll see how long it takes before you figure out what's going on.
I'll just do evens and odds if that's fine.
Okay.
Odd. So
Okay, so it's going to take you about 2 hours, but you're finding varying levels of radiation through the ship. But after 2 hours, and you're sort of plotting this out where it's coming from, definitely the front end of the ship that's leading you on, has a higher radiation rating than the back end of the ship. At first, it seemed random around, but as the statistics add up, you're definitely seeing that something that's coming from ahead of you is irradiating the ship, nothing behind. Still
yeah,
radiation, but not as much.
after the 2 hours and I discover that, I will go to the scientists, but it'll probably, it takes 2 hours for me to do all
Right.
that. So
Lot, doing a complete diagnostic, there are little glitches that you find throughout the computer systems of the ship that might be caused by radiation leak from something. It's very minor, but it's enough to where the circuits they don't get fried, but they get some of the redundant ones fail. Um, it hasn't affected the ship at all, but it's definitely noticeable. It can all be repaired. It can be repaired um, by the ship itself.
I'm going to start the repair process, but I'm also going to let the scientists and Mr. Kane know that what I discovered. This could be the cause of the odd flavor in your sausage, gentlemen.
Doctors Singh and Sathoff. Um, there's definitely been molecular damage. It's the exact kind of thing that you'd expect if a large radiation burst hit the ship
Mhm.
and did things to, uh, whatever the ship uses to make your sausage was changed on a molecular level. But it's also possible that what happened was the radiation was slightly higher when you guys replicated the sausage, and
Yeah.
something was causing it to happen.
It also
Um,
serves.
what concerns you too is that the radiation shields on the ship should
Cover that.
mask all of that out, but I don't know, something.
It's a bit of a canary in a coal mine too, because theoretically speaking, the further we get into this, the more likely we're going to show actual signs of it ourselves. So in some ways, this is like an early warning to us that, yeah, that something is going wrong here. I'm
Yes.
almost tempted to say we get back into the pods and try to just ride it out, but
We are fast approaching our destination. Um, it seems like analyzing what you've all been saying, that this radiation is coming from ahead of us. Maybe it's somewhere related to the system we're going to.
But we're still 3 weeks out, right?
Yes, but
That's a long way. That's many light years. Wow, it's quite a ways away, I'd imagine.
something in front of us.
Hmm.
How disruptive would it be if we did a little experiment by altering course away from the system to see if it still affects us?
Yeah.
Do we have
It'll increase your
sufficient
time.
supplies? It'll increase our time getting there, but it would certainly, we certainly have this more than enough supplies to add the extra time, especially if you went back into stasis. But I don't recommend that. I think we need to put all your heads together and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, we need to find out what's going on before we go back into stasis.
So perhaps then we should just remain on
Yeah, let's
course.
divert course and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah. If it's ahead of us, we use forward scans as well to see what we can find out there. And
All right, I will alter course slightly.
Right. So you alter course. Um, you say slightly because yes, you would want to do it slightly. You wouldn't want to do too much. Um, although even if you did quite a bit, you could correct the course and you'd still get there. You might be a few days off of your projected, ETA. After about 15 minutes of altering your course, the radiation detectors drop. You can see it visibly goes back down to background radiation. So it's almost as if you were caught in a stream or a river of radiation going in that one direction. You've now left the.
How far away are we from the planet? More or
3 weeks,
less.
you're probably less than a light year at this point.
Okay. Um, like we're in the are we like in the solar system then of the planet we're going to?
You'd be like in the equivalent of the Oort cloud. Um,
Okay, just on the
um,
fringes of the solar system.
and the star is quite bright at this point. It's still a bright, bright star, but for you, it's probably about the brightness of the moon. Not as big as the moon, still just a pinprick in the sky. But
It's this Oort cloud. That's where the radiation's coming from. No,
if
Oh, then-
possible, I'd like to distribute some vitamins and possible drugs essentially to myself and the other two, just to correct any effects that the radiation might have lingering in our systems.
yeah, you definitely have that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Just, yeah, a couple chewable vitamins and maybe wear this pack on your arm for a while and we'll get everybody back to normal.
We can say that just like nowadays, you probably have little tags that you can wear that'll warn you if the radiation is getting too high.
so what could be causing this? What could be causing this radiation? Is it could be coming from the sun, from the star of this system, but we're on the outskirts of the system. We're quite a ways away.
And it seems quite directional. We altered course and we got out of it. Is that it's a defined course of
When we head toward the star, is that when the radiation picks up? And then when we zigzag kind of away and not headed directly toward the star, is that when the radiation levels lower?
When you turn this ship back towards the star, everything seems fine. Same as most of your trip.
So it's when we're headed towards the planet
Hmm.
where the problem.
No, not necessarily. I mean,
Okay.
at this point, the difference between heading towards the star and the planet is minuscule.
Yeah.
It seems like there may have just been some cloud or something of radiation that we've encountered.
On
And
that
if we
note-
steer clear of it and go around, we might be fine. Have any of you ever heard of anything like this happening before? Or are there any, is there any data? Is there any like old science logs or anything we can look through to see if there's an
gonna-
example of this happening before?
Try to pull up some previous surveys, see what data results that came in from that, if anything.
All of the previous data about this particular star, it doesn't seem to be that remarkable. It's actually a fairly small star. Yeah, if you were on this planet that you're going to, you'd be closer to the star than you would be on Earth to our star, but you're still in the habitable zone, they call it. The star is a lot redder than our star. not because it's old, but because it's small. Other than that, it should have less radiation than uh, our star, our home star.
Out of curiosity, I'm wondering if we could program our scanners in a way to recognize and collect data on kind of the edges of it and see if we can basically use 3D modeling to like create a defined space of what this cloud is. And the big thing I want to kind of extrapolate from that is it moving relative to us, or is it stationary in space, or is it something that is moving, or is there any type of pattern or behavior to it that we can characterize?
Um, your computer will take a while to
Yeah.
analyze the data. So you set that in motion and it begins to track and analyze and try to figure out what happened.
To see the full depth of it too, and just how big this
Right.
swath is.
Yeah, that might take a few days for it to gather all the information and then report back. Your ship has limited capability on astro. I mean, you weren't sent to chart the stars,
Space,
but you
yeah.
you still have a lot of machinery that can do things like that. Um, so I'll move ahead. We'll say that for the next week or so, nothing changes. Everything's back to normal. You guys have gotten back into shape a little bit. You feel much healthier.
The
It's more
food tastes
pancakes and
normal again.
sausages. Yeah.
The food tastes okay now. Um, so as you were going along a lot, you're monitoring the telemetry and everything that's going on around you. There's this little blip that suddenly appears on the screen. It takes it a couple seconds because it blips and then it's not there. And then it blips again and then it's not there. And then finally it sort of solidifies. There's a large object. It's still on the edge of your visual perception, but it's fairly large. Um, like like the size of a large uh, Earth Highliner cruise ship in space. It's definitely metallic, but you're not getting whether it's like a meteorite or anything like or a meteor.
Gentlemen, I'm detecting a anomalous object here, possibly a vessel, possibly a meteor. I can't tell at this distance, but am I able to direct any sensors or anything to see if any radiation is coming from this as the source? That would be my first.
You're not getting any radiation from it, but you're using your high resolution scanners. And the more you look at it, the more you're thinking it might be a ship of some type. It's not shaped like any ship you've ever seen. And so far humans have never encountered aliens. So you don't know what it could be. It's either that or it's a big giant metallic crystal of some sort.
Gentlemen, I'm detecting an object that I have no idea what it is. It's quite possible a ship, but of no known configuration of any Earth ships that I'm aware of.
Is it is it a threat? Can we destroy it?
I think we'd better try to learn what we can of it before we jump to any rash conclusions. For all we know, it could have systems far stronger than what this simple research vessel carries.
And it's still too far away to see what it is for sure.
There is a possibility that if we were smart, that maybe we would actually hide from it at this point. in the name of science and continuing our mission, I think that we should try to investigate and learn what we can. In the vastness of space, for us to have this experience with radiation a week ago, and now to encounter something else within the entire universe within a week of travel, seems too close to be coincidence, even if you haven't detected radiation from it.
It's definitely of interest.
The trajectory information comes in, it's drifting. It's drifting in space. It's not going anywhere. At far, it's moving, but not very fast. And it seems to be moving away from the system that you're heading towards, but not at any great speed, very slowly by any standards.
I think we need to take a closer look at this. Proceed with caution, but I think we need to change our trajectory. This could be, we're out here to discover things, and so this could be a remarkable discovery, whatever it is.
I'll set course. I'll set course so that we intercept.
Do we want to call it in now?
How long would it? We should probably send a report, but I don't know how long it would take to get back to her.
Well, by old standards, it would take 11 years to get back the information. But we'll say that you've got some neat, nifty hyperspace relay system. So it would take maybe 2 hours or so to get messages back to her from this far out.
Let's find out what it is first and then send the message.
Be a good idea.
All right. So you alter course and you start flying towards this thing. And rather dramatically, as you're getting closer and slowing down, I think it's a ship. It's very spiky. And it's spiky around the edges, and it's kind of flat. It's a flat oval. Ideas of like flying saucer comes into your head, except it's more like a flying blob. It's definitely metallic. Looks like maybe gold. At least has a gold color to it. There are what look like energy ports or something all around it. You can also see the equivalency of windows, although they're long and narrow, and there doesn't seem to be any power, and there doesn't seem to be any like flickering lights or anything like that. It's completely dead in space, and it's very large. It's 100 times larger than your ship, which your ship's not huge, but
this is remarkable. This is remarkable, gentlemen. It looks like we found something that there's no explanation for.
An absolutely unprecedented discovery. That's congratulations.
Certainly is. We have no idea of telling how old this is. This could well predate humanity, or it could be something relatively recent. There's no way to tell unless we start taking some samples and analyze.
I saw it first. I'm going to name it the Irby Bob.
I also think that there are places on it that look like ports, although they're not circular. They're
flat.
They're odd shaped. They're more like sideways doors.
Gentlemen, I have a radical
hypothesis
proposal here.
Oh.
What if we put on our G suits, and went aboard and looked around?
Given the depth of it, is it possible that we could fit? Like, how thin is it? We know it's got quite a width and a length, but
top to bottom, it's hundreds of feet, but side to side, it might be a mile long,
holy
or
smokes.
are a couple of
Yeah.
kilometers long. Um, the doorways, however, look like they're maybe 5 feet high and maybe 10 feet wide.
Oh, interesting.
You don't know if they're not this way and the ship is actually should be this way. Who knows what
Yeah.
up and down is for.
We're up against sentient pancakes.
Yeah.
We could send in a way team, or I don't know about the rest of you, but I've got my this is why I got into this, in the first
I,
place, to travel to
well,
distant places, meet unusual things, just like it says on my patch. I think this is an opportunity. We've discovered something great. I mean, just
well,
I'm excited about this.
well, I have taken the liberty to replicate us a bottle of champagne, and I will pour everyone a glass and say, congratulations and cheers to our discovery. Let us see what we can find out about this thing.
Just to be clear, my job here is to make sure you're all not getting yourselves killed. So I think we should be cautious going into it.
We should perhaps scan to see what we can
Yeah,
scan of the ship.
yeah. Let's
We
scan
do
it
have
first.
this radiation issue. What if that was that radiation is what took the ship out? Apparently is dead in space. See if we can detect any life forms, as life as we know it, forms on there as well.
So scanning it, you scan a couple of things come out of interest. There's a layer of carbon dust all over the ship, mostly on the system side. Um, you figure in outer space it would probably take 100 years for that much to have accumulated. So you can guess that the ship's probably been out here for about at least 100 years. Um, you don't detect any life, but there's definitely traces of carbon and things like that, which is one of the most common substances in the universe. So if there is life or was life, then it would probably have been carbon based as well. Um, but
No.
you don't see there. The ship is cold. It's not giving off any heat signature or barely any heat signature.
So
Further to its identity as a ship, can we tell if there's any kind of noticeable or understandable propulsion system, or is there essentially rockets on the back or something that we could tell what they would use to move themselves through space if it were operating?
Well, we'll say you do kind of a. We're going to assume now your ship is really mobile. You're going to do kind of a fly around
Uh,
to see what it looks like.
2 weeks later.
Uh, it's pretty homogeneous. Looks kind of the same from all angles. Um,
Oh,
however, you can sort of, you guys got some good analysis things. You definitely see some ports on one side that might produce some sort of ionization, which would push the ship forward. Um, although it's not on the side that you think that it would be on. It didn't seem to be wanting to come away from the system. It just happens to have drifted out this far. Um, and there's no residual energy coming out of it. So yeah, it's got a highly sophisticated uh, power system, though you don't
what
know
were
for
you
sure on the
thinking?
inside.
obviously, this is something beyond our current Earth technology. Um, it's at least a century old, or at least it's been out of power for at least a century. The ambient temperature seems to be the same as it seems to be the same as ambient temperature out here. Obviously, this hasn't moved or done anything for quite some time. It's curious that it would. Well, I mean, it would naturally probably try to drift out, depending on what happened to it, drift out this way and on, but it's certainly not of its own power. I'm curious as to what would have knocked something like this completely out and uh, incapacitated its crew.
Well, I think whatever it was, he did it 100 years ago or longer, and it probably moved on and is gone from here, I would guess. So I think to get the answers to our questions, we're going to have to get on board and take a look around ourselves.
And not get killed.
Yes. Or
Mm.
eaten, as my Pat says.
I'm going to start scanning some of the different portals and things that we've seen on the outside, see if anything that we might be able to attach to or jury rig ourselves to.
There's lots of things that you could attach to. The doors seem like the ones that were designed to have things attached to them.
Mm.
You don't know how the mechanisms work, but at the same time, you have a universal umbilical because, humans make all different kinds of shapes for doors. So yours will suction onto it and provide a way through. You will have to wear EVA suits.
Mhm.
Is that the correct word? EVA suit?
Mhm.
It is now.
Extravehicular.
Hmm.
Yeah, something like that.
Spacesuit.
Astronauts.
Something that'll provide you
Just
with
say that.
oxygen and heat.
Yeah.
A spacesuit.
Yeah.
And we'll say
Hey.
that they're quite comfortable and look like, they don't look like the big clunky things that people used to wear.
Yeah. Even if we were to get to the edge of the ship and I could take some samples, even just scraping the carbon dust and maybe scraping the metal surface of it, I'd be more than happy to analyze those in the lab if you guys want to go aboard. I'm not sure we should all go aboard at once.
All right. So you maneuver your ship over near it. You find one of the ports that looks fairly dust free, and you come up and you plunger attached to the side of the ship. You suit up, you get into the airlock, you open the airlock and walk down the umbilical. And when you get to the other side, uh, it looks like solid gold, except that there's a door in it. And the door, like I say, is about 10 feet wide and about 5 feet high. We'll have our engineer, who's also an android. Why don't you roll to see if you can figure out the mechanism?
Okay, let's see. I have where is it? I have mechanical repair at plus I have jury rigging. I also have mechanical repair. Would that might work for that? To
Sure,
find out
whatever
what-
you think is to your intelligence plus that.
Okay, so intelligence plus that. Okay, so where's my intelligence now? Okay, so my intellect is 52. So I add 15 to that. So
67.
67. So I have to get a 67 or lower, correct?
Yeah, you betcha.
Yeah.
And if you get doubles below, then you're in really good shape. If you get doubles above, ooh, then it's
I got doubles above 99.
oh no, that is the worst roll in the game.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So
Decompression.
you are running, your fingers along part of the thing that looks like a latch. And there's a noise. You can only hear the noise because of the vibrations coming through your suits. But when the noise comes up, it seems like the whole door is starting to unlatch. But as it's unlatching, it's pushing the umbilical off of the ship. And you guys are about to be sort of dropped into outer space.
This sounds like
without
an
any-
occasion to gain some stress.
Yeah, stress.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Gain
right. I
some
gained a
stress.
stress on that, didn't I? That though. Gentlemen, I suggest trying to secure yourselves to the umbilical immediately.
Thank you, Lot.
Yep.
Yeah. So the latch unlatches, and as it does, the umbilical gets sort of torn off. You guys grab to parts of the umbilical because the umbilical folds up, so there's things to grab a hold of. But when it does, there suddenly is a gap maybe 6 or 7 feet gap between you and the ship, and it's outer space. And little particles of dust from the ship, little metallic particles of dust, just begin drifting into the airspace in front of you.
I'd like to collect a sample of that, actually, of that dust, as that was one of my
Space
goals of coming
dust.
this far. It's just what's on the ship, and as I have a little beaker for that, and then I have a scalpel. If I can do a little scrape off the hull of the ship and get that as well.
Okay, that's easily done.
I,
And
Um, Go
or
ahead.
I'd like to sort of unravel this paracord I brought with me, sort of on, I assume I have some sort of backpack with all the equipment on it, but just to make a sort of tether in case, Dr. Marcus, gets lost and he has something to hold on to or something.
If any of you have G gravity, um, you would be able to jump over to that ship and sort of help reattach the umbilical to it
I
now
have
that the
that.
door is open.
I could jump over and do it. I would probably volunteer to do that. Yes,
Okay,
you would.
go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead and
jump
roll.
over. Okay.
We'll also say that you guys at this point in time have something on your suit that if you get separated, you got little jets that you can fly yourself
Oh, a
back.
little- yeah.
So would that be strength then to jump over?
Yeah, we'll say, well, you don't really need strength. We'll just say,
Speed?
well, say strength, I guess.
Strength, okay.
Strength.
81
Yeah.
plus 10, 41 or below. That is a 13. So that's a 6.
Okay.
Nicely done.
So you very easily just float across, grab a hold of something, and retether it and pull the umbilical over and pull the latches that make it reattach to the ship. It's very odd. The passageway itself, you're not sure how you wanted to orient yourself. If you orient yourself sideways, then the corridor beyond is only about 2 feet wide, but it's about 10 feet high. If you go this way, then it's 2 feet high and 10 feet wide.
You'd have to
It doesn't
do-
look like you would be able to stand up that way. If you go in sideways, you're going to be a little crowded one by one going in.
Which do you prefer, gentlemen?
I'm, if I go in first, since I'm the guy who gets killed, I'm gonna have the gun out and I want to go kind of like feet first into it, so just slide directly into it rather than because it's zero gravity, so.
It looks like a corridor, a very thin corridor. There's a few things here and there. There's instruments on the walls. It doesn't look like the kind of thing that you'd pick up with a hand. Things that look sort of like buttons, things that look like screens. And guessing, you think that the orientation for these things might be this way. They would have had to have been short and crawly to crawl down these corridors, possibly wide and short. But this down here does definitely seem like a floor. This seems like a ceiling, and this seems like where the instruments and stuff are. You would have to go in head first and sort of swim forward.
Is there any room to make a zoology roll to take a guess at what type of species, what might work in this, or just imagination is the limit kind of thing?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of animals on Earth that are short and flat.
Yeah.
Probably something closer to an octopus than to a giraffe.
Yeah.
Jellyfish, perhaps?
In any case, it definitely looks like a ship. You can't see very far because your headlights are the only light that you have in here.
Do the buttons or do the things we perceive as buttons or instruments have any type of writing on them that we can ascertain, or any type of identification of one from another that we could pick out?
there's definitely something that almost looks like hieroglyphics or pictograms
Okay.
on things. Um, but they were definitely not drawn by anything like a human.
Yeah, yeah,
So they're quite alien. They almost look like decoration, but at the same time, they obviously mean something to someone.
yeah. Interesting.
I have linguistics. I don't, obviously, this is an unknown language, so I'm not even sure that applies. But maybe for trying to,
It would take you literally years and years of
yeah,
study, and you'd have to have some sort of Rosetta Stone, which you
mm,
don't have.
yeah.
But looking for patterns is a first step. If there's anything we can see
Yeah,
that reappears or that is a
there's definitely patterns.
yeah.
Um, you also notice now that the ship is, I mean, you can already know that the ship is vast.
Yeah.
Uh, but from where you're looking, there's a corridor going, and then it opens up into multiple corridors going off into the distance. Um, and there's definitely got to be multiple decks. They'd all be stacked on top of one another like a stack of pancakes.
Hmm.
And very much seems that their concept of or working space or public space is very different from ours. I don't know how many creatures would man a ship like this, or if it would be completely packed with them. We see no sign of remains necessarily so far.
But we've just entered the ship
You
and it's
just
a
entered the
mile
port. Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
So let's
I,
keep
Ooh,
looking.
I'm no scientist, but shouldn't we find some means of recording this for back home?
Yeah, I think
Document
that
our
would,
So you've
process.
all got something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
the
take some
camera
pictures
helmet.
of the hieroglyphs
Hmm.
on the
It was
various.
implanted in your eyeballs when you were
Yeah.
little children.
I'll just start
Um,
running like a video feed of everything so it goes back to our
Yeah.
ship and eventually we can send it to Earth or wherever we live now.
Mhm.
so I'm assuming then that John, you're moving in forward, just in case. It doesn't take you long. It's not just corridors. There are eventually very large rooms, but and there a lot of them are much taller. You could actually stand up in them.
Hmm.
But you think that to these alien creatures, this would have seemed like 5 stories high, if they were on the ground. And there's various scientific looking instruments and things like that all over the place.
There's different
But as
purpose to
you, yeah,
different
just a
places.
different way of
Yeah.
examining the universe. Um, John, you do finally come to a spot where you see kind of just on the edge of the light from your cam what looks like a bunch of leather that's been sort of piled up in the corner. Um, and as you move towards it, your instinct is to almost think that it's something you want to reach out and pull to uncover what's underneath it. But before you do that, as you get up to it, you realize that it's not leather, that it's something akin to dried or desiccated skin. And you think that you found a few of these aliens. They're
Mhm.
obviously dead, they're desiccated. They seem to have multiple arms, but the arms they don't look very functional. They're more like giant slugs.
Hmm.
They're able to manipulate a little bit, but mostly they would have slid along the floors. Very strange. You don't see any visible eyes.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go like with I think I gave myself some sort of like melee implement. A boarding axe, whatever that might be. I'm gonna go like prod it a bit and maybe like hook it on the axe and start to bring it back over to the nerds so they can,
Yeah,
you
We
know.
should
it's
definitely take
like
one.
it has the consistency now of like, I don't know, an old deflated basketball.
Hmm.
Um,
Doctors,
you're
I I brought something for you to study. I'll just hook
Sweet.
it
That
over and
is,
start letting
Yeah.
it float over towards them.
Wow,
can
this is incredible. This is the first ever documented sign of alien.
confirmed.
Well, I would say alien life, but it's dead.
This is definitely a first.
This epidermis feature looks as though it's a skin. Is there any sign of a other type of tissue within it, or bone or muscle?
Um, well, there's some difficulty. It's fairly large. I'd say that the entity would fit very nicely into that hallway. So say
Yeah.
that it's 6 or 7 feet across, but only 2 feet high. It's
Mhm.
leathery like a bag. Um, your guess is that it was probably boneless. It was very much like a slug. And at this point, it's desiccated. So, where once its skin might have been quite soft and pliable, now it's like a mummy. It
All
didn't seem to rot because there's probably no germs on this ship,
yeah.
just like there's probably no germs on your ship.
What do we detect of the
Desiccated.
air within the ship outside of our suits? Is that can we tell that there is stagnant air aboard the like is it oxygen or is it another fluid or another type of
Yeah.
gas or
Um, yeah, there's definitely oxygen, not quite dissimilar than Earth atmosphere, although it's very cold and it's very stale.
Hmm.
Um, there's phenoms in it that probably do smell really bad, but you can't smell. I mean, you're in your
yeah,
suits.
yeah. On the
Uh,
creature itself, is there any sensory organs or something like that that we can tell? We've been using our lights to see around here, so it's
right.
presumably dark. We don't see lights or see anything that would serve as lights. So they must have had a non-visual way of navigating their ship.
There's
But why
definitely,
hieroglyphics?
as you're moving around it and looking at its structure, and I mean it's not all the same. There's
Yeah.
definitely things that you would think, is that some sort of mouth? Is that some sort of hearing organ, or some sort of electrical, something where it could detect electrical fields in the air? That's all possible. Without a living example, you wouldn't know for sure, but definitely if they built this, then they were able to do things.
Clearly
Doc,
intelligent.
Doctor, I've read a book on, I believe they're called lobsters once. This isn't like the molt of something, is it? We're seeing.
Discarded skin.
Is
It's
it?
It
too
doesn't
hard to
look like a
tell.
discarded
Yeah.
skin.
Does not look like it. No, Kane, I don't believe that's what it is. I think this is their bodies.
Have you heard of a lobster before?
Yeah, of course. I'm a zoologist, in addition to being a planetologist and a botanist and an ecologist.
And a chemist, etc. I'm thinking I might take the specimen back to the ship and approach it with our laser cutter and see what I can glean from it. If you gentlemen want to continue searching the vessel,
Yeah, maybe with a series of like glow stick sort of things. I want to start kind of like mapping out our immediate area and slowly,
Okay. Maybe you have those little laser things that you can fly around and they map everything out for you. Um, so you think that the problem in this ship might have been that you can't tell if there was ever gravity. Um, but the thing had a way of adhesing itself to the wall. At this point, you realize that with a few little pushes, the whole thing kind of comes loose and just starts floating. It's just with one hand, you could pull it along behind you, although it's fairly wide, right back into your ship.
yeah,
Once
that's
in
what I'd like
your
to do.
ship, though, You'd have to
Yeah.
do something about your gravity because your ship does have gravity. Because
Mm.
and then it's just going to flop to the ground.
Yeah. If we have some kind of wrap or paper I can put around it to shield it from outside, like out from in space as I transfer it between ships, I'd like to kind of some kind
Yeah.
of special insulated wrap, I guess, to protect it.
You can also say
Um,
that you have machinery on the ship
yeah,
that you can
okay.
use
To
to
take it
lift it
back
and move
and
it.
yeah.
All right. So you're going to do that.
And yeah, then I'll head back to the ship and begin slowly eviscerating and studying and sampling it. And
Parts of it seem very much like a starfish or a
yeah,
sea urchin, odd, maybe a slug is somewhere in between there.
yeah.
You can also tell that it might have been very colorful
Huh.
originally, although the color seems to have faded over 100 years or so. All right, the others, you begin to sort of get your feel for the ship. There's definitely an organization to the way the rooms are laid out. You find places where in the ceiling and the floor there are large circular holes.
Hmm.
In one place, you find one of these holes. You can see that it goes perhaps all the way to the bottom of the ship and all the way to the top of the ship, like an elevator, except that there's no elevator. You're thinking these things could have just floated up and down
Mhm.
to gain access.
Mhm.
You're guessing there's at least 30 or 40 levels on the ship.
Mhm.
Um, Eventually, after spending a few hours, you find what you think might be a control room and some sort of large power source. And when you get to the power source, there's some indication that there is still power. The ship, this sort of egg-shaped oval sort of thing, is definitely glowing. It's giving
Mhm.
off light. You're finding that there's heat coming from it. It's just been inactive for so long. What calls to mind would be like a nuclear reactor that is shut down and it still has potential. You're not detecting dangerous radiation or anything, but it does look like something that could be revived if you knew what to do. And John, you're looking around. You do find quite a few of these pancake creatures um, all over the place. Some of them look like they were busy doing something. Some of them look like they all look like they were dragging themselves around on the floor. Um, you also begin to notice, too, that there's definitely signs of burn, like they're blistered in places. You thought they were just part of organs or sensory, but you think they're blisters. Definitely they were hit by
Yeah,
something, maybe radiation.
that's
Or a
what I was gonna
plague.
ask. I was gonna ask if there's any physical injury on them. Another thing I'd like to clarify is, are they all about the same size?
Yeah,
Okay.
they
Perhaps
And
seem to have different coloration slightly, but mostly they're the
do they seem
same
to have,
size.
this seems to be some sort of like sentient species at least. Do they have any like attire or indication that they have different roles or ranks to them, or are they all just floating naked squid things?
Yeah, they don't seem to have any kind of clothing. Um, that's interesting. We'll say that you do start to notice that some of them have, for all intents and purposes, you'd call them piercings. Some of them have gold rings pierced through parts of their body. Some of them have silver rings of different numbers of them. And you think that that might actually be some sort of indicator. Most of them don't, though.
Those are the ones I'm going to shoot first if they come back to life.
So Dr. Marcus, you discover, uh, what are you going to do? Are you going to try to dissect it?
I believe I am. Once I do a little bit of base sampling, I'm going to take a little skin or tissue sample from it and analyze that. But I am curious to do a cross section of a limb or the torso. Um,
I would
So,
be interested in doing the same thing as well.
okay.
I can send you all the footage as I'm doing it. If
Mhm.
you're still looking, you'll get a live footage
Okay.
of
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
coming through my
Okay.
camera.
See if
So
you see any
Lot and
radiation
Kane are both.
damage.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, check for radiation damage. I'm curious
Yeah,
that they may have encountered what we recently encountered, and
absolutely.
Yes, there
it might.
definitely does seem to be blistering, and all of the
Yep.
blistering, you didn't notice the details at first, but the blistering does seem to be on the same side of the creatures throughout. So no matter how they're oriented, it came from a direction. Um, uh, Lot, you and John are exploring and mapping things out. You have sent your data and messages back to Earth so far and told them what you've encountered. Your ship has taken photos and scans of the entire outside of the ship, so that you've got all of that. Doctors Singh and Sathoff, the creature is complex. Um, the layers of skin, the internal organs. Apparently, the mouth is dead center on the bottom, on the floor, so very much like a starfish.
Yeah.
Um, Despite the fact that their little arms are not very long, they do seem to have probably been quite mobile in zero gravity. And there's tons of things on the inside of them that you don't have any idea what the function was, but definitely a circulatory system, some sort of elimination system, um, something that might pass for brain, very large, but not really like our brain. Um, some sort of thing that would be the equivalent of neural connections inside their bodies. Um, and places where this all connects to the outside skin could be like eyes, but they're not eyes, could be
Some kind of
sound,
sensory organ.
yeah, some kind of sensory organs. Remarkable.
Yeah. What can I tell what percentage or any percentage of them are water based or do they have
They're
water in
definitely
their
carbon
physiology?
based.
Yeah, carbon
They
based.
definitely have water. They would have had water. Now they're completely
Yeah.
desiccated, but um, yeah, kind of the same things that humans would have. Um, most of the things that we would consider necessary for life, they have those. There's a few other things that are much higher, like gold, for instance, seems to be a much higher degree of substance in their system. That's unusual because
Yes.
gold is not a naturally, how do I want to say it? It's not an easily accessible thing. Gold comes from supernovas. You know, all the gold on Earth was once inside of a supernova that got expelled, because it's such a dense element
Yeah.
that you need tremendous
Force
amount of
required to.
force and,
Yeah.
and heat to make it. You can't manufacture it in real life.
Perhaps they
Real
use
life.
gold like you humans use iron in your blood cells to transport oxygen. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll assume you guys are all connected too. You can talk to each other no
Yeah,
matter
yeah,
where you are.
absolutely. If I take samples of them and small particles of skin and such and reintroduce water to them, is there any reaction or is there any sign of live cells within them or anything that can?
Yeah, no, they get soft, but they don't,
Yeah,
just because they're rehydrating.
yeah, it doesn't
But
necessarily mean.
Yeah, you definitely identify cellular structure, but it's all broken down.
Hmm.
It'd be interesting to
Um,
see if you could find out what their genetic material is. I'm assuming it wouldn't be like our DNA. It might be similar, but different molecules.
Yeah,
right.
even
There's things that would take you years of study to figure out in this. And there's definitely just in the couple of inches you've worked on, you
yeah,
realize that
exactly.
these things are extremely complicated creatures.
Hmm.
So how many of these things have you guys found over there? That's
Probably by this point, you've stopped counting. There's
Well,
places where there's hundreds of them.
I was wondering, so there seems to be some sort of we talked about command center. There seems to be some sort of logical structure to this place. I want to look for to see if they have an equivalent of like cryopods or stasis pods. Because what if we can find one of these that has been locked away and is alive?
Mm.
I'm just exploring, so I want to see if I can like find my way to that, somewhere probably closer to the command center.
So you come to a place where the room sort of opens up. It's one of these shafts going up, but it's bigger than the other shafts. It's maybe 100 feet across, um, and it's just a big chamber going all the way up. And all around it, over and over and over again, going all the way up, are what look like the same pods over and over again. They're large, maybe 10 feet across, maybe 3 feet high. They seem to be metallic on the bottom and glass on the top. And as you move over towards one, there is something inside of it that could very well be one of these creatures. Um, they're they're all filled. This is perhaps a colony ship of some sort.
Hmm.
I'll
Um,
also radio in Dr. Sign and Dr. Sathoff. I think I found their stasis pods. We might have
Wow.
living ones here.
Don't do anything yet. I think
I'm
we
not
all need to
touching
get,
anything.
yeah, we all need to get together. Dr. Singh, I think our work here will have to be delayed. We need to get over there ASAP.
yep, sounds good.
An
I'm ready
another
to.
another question I had is just exploring the ship. Did they have any equivalent technology, at least visibly, to like computers or robots?
yeah, there's definitely places that look like screens. They are oddly long. Um, but you're not sure if they transmitted light or something else to these creatures. Um, and there's a lot of little instruments and things around them when you find them, when you see them.
Because based off of our experience, um, I'm thinking something has to automatically open the stasis pods,
Hmm.
or something initiates that process. And since the whole crew is dead, there has to be some backup.
Perhaps when they were exposed to radiation, they went into the cryopods, as we considered for you gentlemen, when we didn't know what was going on with the radiation, and they've been in there. Obviously, the power is running at a very low level, but perhaps it's enough to just maintain these pods. They redirected everything to life support in the pods, perhaps.
What if they were explorers like us and they came to this system to explore that planet and they took something with them, something, the radiation, and they got exposed to deadly levels and it killed them, except for the ones in the stasis pod.
Reasonable guess.
But so if we can find a way to release them from the stasis pod, and then if we can find a way to communicate with them, we could learn.
It would be certainly easier if there was if we to learn their language and systems. If they were someone we could communicate with them, and come to a common ground so we could learn to understand each other. However, I would ask the doctors to see if there's anything that you can see that might be a weakness that we can exploit should the need arise for this life form.
Right now, the
Perhaps.
biggest problem there is just not understanding what its actual environment would be to live in. We have no idea if the conditions on the ship right now are hospitable to its existence if we bring it out of the pods.
Mhm.
It may take a little bit of research on our time to formulate a guess as to what mix of atmosphere they'd be partial to existing within.
If
Um,
Yeah, we wouldn't want to kill
No, we
it,
would
we
want
could
like
wake
we would want to
them up
unintentionally.
revive them to
and
kill them. That would be
yeah.
wrong.
if it helps doctors, I have not seen any equivalent of an EVA suit for them. They seem to be non-adorned aside from these, and I'll sort of maybe gesture the ones piercing these rings around them.
Can you imagine them making themselves little astronaut suits with all the little arms and parts of
Well,
them?
there's also one other thing we haven't considered yet, gentlemen. Um, there's also a possibility if we release one of these from their pod that they might respond in a hostile fashion to us.
Yes, I believe that was Lot's intention in mentioning the weak
Yeah,
spot
yeah,
of
yeah.
potential crowd control.
Yeah, we have the heads up in attempting to understand them, but at least you doctors have, but they will come out upon, I assume, attack us right away.
Yeah,
Hopefully
I
we can release one at a time instead of like all of them at once. But
that that would be my suggestion to release just one if we could find a way, because there's hundreds of them and there are only four of us.
right.
I would advise extreme caution to them. We are the alien and extremely possibly terrifying life creature to them. So
So far I haven't seen at least any equivalent of weapons they have, so we might have the
uh,
upper hand here.
lack of things like culture, or even in our spaceships, we have in your quarters, you have a poster on the wall or a picture of a vacation you spent somewhere on a paradise world or something like that. And
I
with
thought you were talking about a different poster. Okay, I believe.
yeah, oh yeah, I try to stay out of your quarters, John. So, but still, without musical instruments, without activity or sports, without a culture, is there? I wonder if there are things we can assume about their society and their way of existence before we even revive one.
Hmm.
Well,
I'm
I
saying
know
do an intelligence roll.
I know
Okay.
based off of what I packed, they might just be packing for the necessities. They might
Yeah.
not be able to afford to bring that with them.
Would you allow me to add any of my things like exobiology or zoology to it?
Sure, exobiology would make sense.
Yeah, okay. That puts me up to a 72, and I got a 59. So success.
It does occur to you as you're hypothesizing all of those things that to a creature that doesn't have any eyes or ears that you understand them, what would art and music look or
Even
sound
look like, yeah,
like?
yeah.
Yeah, that panel on the wall that just looks like a panel might be a beautiful work of art to this thing.
Good point. Yeah.
Um, Understanding their culture, definitely gold seems to be a big part of their culture,
Part of it.
and it's been a big part of Earth culture too. So,
Yeah.
They may be offended by the shape of your food if they're pancakes shaped as well.
Yeah. True. Well, I'll ask a different question then, and that is, do we know offhand if our replicators can synthesize gold ourselves, or is it possible we have any gold in the engineering portions of our ship that we could possibly spare? Perhaps a gift of gold would be something suitable for a first contact.
you can't synthesize elements
Oh,
directly,
gotcha.
but you can synthesize things that look like it. Uh, yeah, because yeah, if you could synthesize elements, then you'd have endless resources that would never end.
Hmm.
So as you explore the ship, as you look around, as you do your testing and things, you've now all become aware of the little rings, and the rings are more ornate than you'd expect them to be. So yeah, maybe there is a level of art that they have. Um, and we'll say at some point, if you are, let's say, especially Lot and John, maybe, if you are wondering what this is and you're touching things, um, you do get something that suddenly booms across the inside of the ship, almost like you imagine a captain or somebody giving a message to the people on the ship, though the sound is nothing like a human voice. At first, you think it's static, but it very quickly resolves into a sound more like a whale song, or there's definitely sounds of clicks and harmonics to it. Is it music? Is it a message? Is it,
That their language, a
yeah, their
warning.
language? You don't really distinguish words, but then again, if it's in frequencies, you might not notice the differences.
Yeah, let's record.
It's
I
all
would try to record it
fascinating.
all. Yeah, record everything.
We'll say that you spend, well, you tell me, how long do you want to spend doing this? The ship's not going this ship is not going anywhere.
Mhm. And it's been sitting like this for quite some time.
I think this supersedes our mission on the planet. I mean, this is the first, we're the first ever to document alien life forms. So I say that we put all of our efforts here.
Well,
Agreed.
we're sending things back. We
Yep.
may get something. We should be monitoring our any messages we receive. They may decide to send a mission just for this.
I've sent several data packets of the samples that I took apart and analyzed. As I'm sure they'll be once they receive them, they'll be running their own tests on it and coming to conclusions.
Hmm.
This has happened. It's part of history now.
You've sent my recordings, right? Oh,
Yep. Yep. Everything we've taken so far is, if for some reason something goes wrong, that'll be instrumental in whoever comes next. So
I think I left the camera rolling too long,
Oh,
so hopefully they
I'll
can cut that out.
monitor. I'll monitor any incoming transmissions back just to see if we receive any additional orders, what we're supposed to do, and how we're to proceed.
All right. You also said that you might want to try to revive one of these things. If you're going to do that, I'll need an intellect. And if you guys have computer or something like that,
I
you're trying to
have
figure out an alien.
computers hacking. I have hacking. I have computers hacking at 15 and hyperspace, I think, at
Let's
um,
do
let's
let's do
see.
your computers plus your intellect.
Okay, intellect.
is there any chance that me and Dr. Sathoff have any idea of what type of environment to create in here to allow them to?
Um, yeah, definitely very similar to Earth, but a much higher level of um, what's rotten egg smell
Oh,
like?
sulfur,
That's
sulfur, sulfite.
sulfur dioxide.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, Problem with sulfur dioxide is it's actually quite toxic to humans,
Hmm.
Mhm.
which is why we have an aversion to the smell.
But
Um,
You have
to them, it
EVA
seems
suits,
like it
though.
might be part of their. Yeah, you've got your EVA suits.
Yeah, we can. We can make like a sort of sectioned off area of the like sleeping pods area, their equivalent of the sleeping pods. I want to also have my gun out in case it's a threat right away.
I got a 16 under 62 on my computer.
Okay. You think you figured out enough of, by trial and error, what does this button do? What does that button do? That you figure you can revive one of these things. There's definitely a master computer system on the ship. It's just as alien though as you would be to it, but there's definitely something controlling things and keeping the environment. You can decipher part of the math because math is math. 1, 2, 3, 4 is still 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can designate which pod you want to open. And you notice that once you've started controlling things, there's definitely a rise in temperature in the rooms, and the levels of the air start to go up. So the ship itself is beginning to make it habitable once again.
For these creatures, not us.
For these creatures, right.
So sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So it smells like farts in here.
It
Wonderful.
smells like egg farts, yeah. Which you can't see, nobody can smell considering
can't.
you've got your filters on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's say that you've been here now for at least a week to get to this point. Earth has said you're there. Do whatever you can, try to harm nothing. They suggest that the one that you've dissected, that you get rid of it
No.
so that, they won't know that you guys have done such a thing.
Yeah.
Who knows what their ethics are?
Record all data and then incinerate it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the time comes, you guys are all gathered around. And Dr. And Lot, you interact with the ship, and one of these pods seems to break loose from the wall on kind of an arm. It extends down, it comes to the ground. You can definitely see there's something inside of it, and the temperature inside of it changes. You see the frost go away, and you hear a kind of psh as the lid of the pod lifts up and comes out. The creature inside of it is familiar. It looks like the other things, although it's much more colorful. It's definitely got ripples of color and patterns on its outside skin. And at first, it doesn't do anything. You think that it's waking up. And there's a moment when you're waiting for something to happen. It starts to sort of stretch its little tentacles and things like that. And then it shakes violently for a moment and then sort of freezes. You think in those moments it's realizing that you're there and it doesn't know what to do. What do you guys do? Anything at all? Or do you stand still or what?
I'd like to play a recording that I made earlier of that sound we heard over the intercom like device. I think that.
Okay.
It probably says kill all intruders on board.
Yeah, we're under attack.
You do that, and you have no way of understanding the interpretation of what
Yeah.
the creature reacts, but it sits there for a moment where you guys are all kind of grouped together. It starts to slide itself out of its pod. It moves very much like a slug. So it seems to be sticking, adhering. There's definitely a moisture to it. There's a glistening to it, though it's not leaving a trail of any kind. It moves out of the pod. It starts to sort of rotate around, and then um, it moves a little bit towards you, a little bit away from you, like it's afraid, but you don't seem to be giant slug-sucking monsters. Um, it comes up to you with one of its tentacles, and it touches you gently. Um, do you react, or do you?
Um, so if it touches me gently, I guess on the arm, I will use my hand and I will touch it gently back.
Okay. And it doesn't retract, but it sort of it starts to seem calmer if you're reading it correctly. It starts probing a little bit. It touches you in places. Um, you realize, of course, it's only touching your suit.
Mm.
And then it sort of mushrooms a little like this, and starts to sort of moving around you. It's touching you, trying to figure things out. It suddenly seems fascinated by your hands that you seem to have tentacles too. Um, and then, are you guys going to allow this thing to just keep
I'm
sort of
Yeah, I'm going to
probing?
suggest that it Sathoff offer to buy it a drink maybe at this point, but
I'm I'm going to take out like whatever equivalent of a tablet or pad that I have, and I'm going to have like a model of sulfur dioxide, not the chemical symbols because they won't know what that means, but an actual 3D model. I'm going to put it next to a model of oxygen, and I'm going to point at it, touch it, and then touch that model. And then I'm going to
Very
touch.
good.
I probably wouldn't touch myself because I'm an android. I'm going to touch John, and then I'm going to point to the O2 and see if it understands what I'm saying or gets if what I'm trying to say, why we're in these suits. And
I'm still ready to start blasting in case it becomes a threat.
do an intelligence roll for me. A
Okay.
lot.
Okay. What's my intelligence again? Oh, I just use it. That is a 14. Wow, I love these dice. I'm keeping them.
Oh,
14. Under 52.
it
Sorry.
uh, you're hoping that what it's thinking, if humans tend to project, that it's trying to understand that you are trying to communicate with it. It moves over to the wall, and its little tentacles touch things on the wall. And in the center of this room, this sort of blob of gold comes up in 3 dimensions, and it begins to create exactly the same sort of thing. Uh, though it looks almost like it's more accurate. It's not showing little balls flying around other balls,
Yeah.
but the shapes of the quantum clouds.
Oh, wow.
So you can kind of guess what it's doing, and it's definitely trying to show the same element
Mm.
that you are. It then hits a few other things, and a whole bunch of gobbledygook of letters. Maybe they're letters, maybe they're pictograms, and everything start appearing in the air very rapidly.
I'm going to, on my tablet, hit something like I'm going to randomly pick some kind of text. My background's physics, chemistry. I'm just going to do the same thing, have something scrolling rapidly by to show that we have language too.
Okay. After a moment, it sort of it once again it touches some panels, and it raises up a couple of its tentacles and sort of you get the impression like it's doing shadow puppets, like this, and it tries to sort of form the shape of what you think is your mouth,
Oh,
and it starts, yap, 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 like this.
Hmm.
What do you do?
I turned to John. That sounds like the way your girlfriend talks to you. Um,
How do you
And
know
it
her?
it it
I'm
does some
going
more
to
instrumentation on the walls.
No.
I'm going to do like a circular shape, and then underneath where we thought his mouth was, and I'm going to look at him inquisitively, like, yep, 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 yep. If that's how they communicate.
It continues to make this sort of mouth shape, and and you can tell that it's sort of indicating you. It says
Oh,
like,
We'll try speaking to it. And
how
for what it's worth, it can hear us make sound, and we'll try to stay very calm and reassuring in our sounds. But
perhaps it has some, they're quite advanced. Perhaps they have some sort of translation system. So I'm going to speak directly to it. Greetings. Our crew came upon your vessel, which appears to have been inactive, and with some of you surviving in stasis for quite a long time.
you're suddenly interrupted. It's hitting things on the wall, and you're starting to hear it's coming through the sound system, if there's a sound system.
Do you need us to keep talking? Are you trying to translate our language?
And it's giving you this sign
So,
again.
everyone, I introduce your, say hello, a little bit about what you do, your science, your interests. I am a computer specialist. I also specialize in physics. I play the ukulele. Instrument. It makes music. Music is something that we enjoy, a form of sound, of vibration. I'm just going to start rambling, and I'm going to encourage others to do the same, just to see if they can
My
translate.
name is John Kane. I'm worried how this artificial intelligence knows my girlfriend, and I well, I write poetry in my free time.
I knew it.
It
I'm
it
Doctor. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, this continues
yeah.
for about an hour. At a certain point, you get the impression that what it's doing is analyzing the various kinds of sound that you guys create. It then turns to what very quickly becomes obviously math. It starts slapping its little tentacle on the ground to have you identify what is one, what is two, what is
I'm going to do it with
three.
fingers.
Yeah. It becomes very excited, I guess.
Mm.
Little ripples of color all over it. Eventually, their computer system kind of figures out the basics of your language. It's not perfect, but it says it says uh, I am the master control circuit for this ship. You have revived one of the crew. You can tell that it's trying to ask questions, but it doesn't even know how to ask certain questions. Do you know where we currently are in
Yes, and
space?
so we can actually provide them maybe with some type of coordinates, or we can maybe
Just a
show them a
pad.
map of this system.
Of the
Yeah.
system,
Yeah,
condensing into where we are,
yeah.
the system, the number of planets it has, the
And then if
outside.
they want to know even more beyond that, we could even maybe spread out to like the stars that are closest to it or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Um, the coloration on the thing changes, and it definitely you get the feeling that it's not happy, and it says, um, um, "That's bad." Um, Ship was to escape system. Our star is not good.
Okay.
Unpredictable flares.
Mhm.
Radiation spikes.
It's what we encountered
Get it out
earlier.
Tom, you keep like freezing on me. I don't know I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. I missed some words were dropping. I just wanted to let you know.
I think it's fine on my end, but
Um,
Is your ship capable of interstellar um space travel between
inter
stars?
interstellar uh, takes very long. Should not have revived until many years, many cycles. Uh, if we are currently in the position that you described from our star, we haven't gotten very far. Something must have gone wrong.
Your ship is adrift. It is not
Floating in limbo.
moving.
He's fiddling with the computers. You can tell that he's receiving messages, though it's weird because you're not sure that there's if you're scanning, you can see different parts of the panels lighting up, but with not with light, but with heat radiation.
Mhm.
And he says, um, "Solar flare must have hit our ship as we were
Hmm.
leaving."
I'm also going to say that we are explorers and scientists, and our mission was to explore their planet.
The planet over there.
Yes. But you say it is dangerous.
We don't know the current state of our planet. Um, there was much destruction, much uh, death uh, due to the solar flare. We devised a means to get away. We thought we would sleep. There was a crew that would have joined us, but you've told me that many are dead.
As far as we
Um,
can tell, everyone who is not in a pod is dead. Who's not in a, yeah.
we are still in a danger zone.
Mhm.
Um, it is a roll of the dice. Well, he doesn't say that, but you understand what he's talking about.
Um,
Um,
Speed check.
Percentage is about 30% that another solar flare will hit our ship. In the pods, we're safe, but outside of the pods, we are not. I could revive a dozen of my comrades, and we might be able to repair this ship if we don't have another solar flare.
Your your propulsion systems seem to still be well minimally active right now, and your power systems seem to still be still be capable of use. They would just have to be powered up. We would be happy to help assist you, I'm sure,
Yeah,
in getting out of this solar system. Apparently,
No-
we shouldn't be here either.
Hmm.
nothing. There's no sort of weight in space, so we can just
yeah.
push or pull them out. We don't even need to get their boosters working. We just need a tether of some sort.
As long as we can
I
overcome initial inertia, then we're fine.
Yeah, the inertia might be the problem.
Yeah.
Their
Ship
ship
is
is
quite
huge
larger
compared to
than ours.
yours. We must risk uh we must risk it. Our I will revive uh 11 others and tell them the situation. Uh we don't know if you can help us, but you are welcome. You don't read our system
Hmm. Well,
like you don't seem to have gremlins or floblins or shimovsovs. Uh,
yes. If your ship is in
how do you get
danger,
around?
yeah, we have our own ship. But if your ship is in danger from solar flares, ours will be as well. And
Oh, no.
we should be leaving as well.
Um, okay, well, let's see. Uh, we'll say that after he revives people and they get some of their kind, uh, find you fascinating. Some of them are a little afraid of you. Um, but he tells you that for the most part, on average, about 70 or 80% of them are scientists, the same sort of
Mm,
thing. Uh, they left, the ones who got to go on the ship were the smartest ones.
excellent.
Sounds like a proper society.
Could we, because it looks like we're not going to the planet now because it's too dangerous, could we collect some data on the sun, on the star, maybe to see what's wrong with it, to see how it's giving off flares, so at least we can send that back to our employers that sent us on this mission to say why we didn't go to the planet, and just any data we can gather from the star. I don't know how we would collect that, but
Let's let's do something interesting. Over the course of a month, um, with Lot's help and with you scientists and so forth, you are able to create a kind of interface between their computer and your computer so that you can visualize what they're talking about and they can understand what you're talking about. With For you, it would be visually. They inform you that over the past 500 years or so, their star started to show, uh, uh, it started to flare up. Occasionally, their world, they show you, we'll say they show you pictures of the surface of their planet where there were cities, and the cities are almost in long lines because in between them, they were blasted by solar radiation and everything was killed, and their planet was very quickly dying. Fortunately, the backside of their planet still was pretty safe. It had the whole planet inside. Their planet didn't quite rotate the way our planet rotates. Um, but they had limited time before their star, if their star actually a solar flare directly hit their planet, it could just kill everything, tear their atmosphere off and everything. So they boarded a ship and they left, hoping to find something eventually. Um, but they didn't really have any clear idea of where to go. So at this point, it's more like regular communication. It's all gets filtered through. Their scientists are brilliant, but their approaches to doing things are a little different than the way you guys did it. And they evolved on this planet. The gravity is a little bit more than it is on Earth. They were flat, sort of pancake things that eventually crawled out of their ocean and developed a human society. Their cities were built. There's a vast amount of gold on their planet. It's extremely common. So they think that it was originally a chunk of some big giant chunk of rock that came out of the middle of a supernova when it exploded. And together, over the course of a month or so, you managed to repair their engines. Now, their engines are, they're not faster than light, but they could get to Earth in, oh, say, 50 or 60 years. It's only 11 light years, so they're doing a good percentage of the speed of light. And that's what they sort of start talking about a lot, is that they just assume that since your planet seems to be mostly like their planet, that's a good spot for them to go. It's quite lucky that you came along and pointed them in the right direction. How do you guys react to that as you realize that it's starting to build up? They would like to very much to come to Earth.
Well, we got this planet next to Earth called Mars. Maybe you could have that one. I'm not sure.
Oh, we don't have Mars completely terraformed.
Oh, okay.
You decide. Yeah.
I'm
Or
sort
the
of in,
moon. The moon doesn't have much gravity to it. They're used to little gravity, at least in
Yeah, well,
space.
you seem friendly and you seem you don't seem hostile or anything like that. So I guess we would be happy to welcome you. We can find a place for you. It's a pretty big planet.
it's a pretty big galaxy. We've explored other systems. I probably hint to some of the ones that I know a little better, I guess, in the course of the month about, things that might be even more suitable, as suggestions.
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying no to Earth, but giving them options, things to look at, things that might be more naturally like their planet that we might know about.
Mm-hmm.
More places to develop freely, because we imagine at this point Earth is quite populated.
Yeah. That's why you guys are looking for new planets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention the one little thing we haven't told them yet, and that is that humanity hasn't exactly been kind to itself or the stars or its own planet. I mean,
If they don't mind, yeah.
I think I'll
They don't mind the
mention,
cold, they could have Antarctica.
I'm going to mention to them that our planet, gold is more of a rare element than it was on their planet. And because it was so rare in the past that, humanity, went to wars over things like this, killed people for this wealth.
You could buy what you want with the gold, with all the gold you have. You could buy your own island or something.
You start to realize too in these conversations that they don't have much of a concept of war. There are conflicts, and the conflicts are usually resolved. Well, it comes across as mass extermination, but it's almost voluntary, you know. They don't seem to have any concept of value for individual life. They didn't mourn the dead of their on their ship. And they also seem to communicate. They're able to communicate by touching each other. They just convey information. Yeah, they're an interesting species, but you don't think that they were troubled by things like religion or war, even though there were lacks of resources. As to gold, you also discover that they are, I guess, what you'd call absolute experts at mining. They tunnel through their whole planet. There's great cities underground and above ground, but the solar flares were just not enough. I mean, their planet crust was not enough to protect them from the solar flares. But their planet is extremely rich in all kinds of minerals and metals.
Oh,
Maybe we send them over to Moon Zeta 37.
yeah. That could be.
Yeah.
I was going to say with their numbers on board and not necessarily knowing their reproductive cycles or processes, can we gently and diplomatically ask if they have what they need to continue their species?
You get the impression that they grow their children as like attached to them, and eventually when they get big enough, they pop off.
Yeah. So
not unlike some creatures on Earth do that.
Yeah. So if we can give them a resource rich world, they might be able to come back
and they seem to understand the concept of not overpopulating. You know, they seem very resource conscious. You don't know what their lifespan is, but it seems to be relatively about what humans is, you know, a handful of decades. You're not sure if there's a male or female, or if the concept, they don't really understand that at all. You're all male. They just assume that all humans look like you. There are definitely differences. You get to where you start to recognize who is who.
Oh, give them
the
names,
rings
nicknames.
are definitely some sort of rank in importance of the ship. If you call them officers, the officers are the ones that all died because they were still flying the ship.
So they have some sort of concept of like role, right? Like, you know, we had some like engineers and stuff that they woke up, and officers.
Yeah. You eventually get a little bit of their philosophy. They think that everything in the universe is composed of atoms the same way as you are, and that life and death are just different processes, and nobody goes anywhere or ends up anywhere. You just continue the process. They don't really think along those sort of lines. They're just things. And they wouldn't find that offensive.
Is there a way to forecast or predict based on what we do know of their origin planet that their society and that their existence is sustainable?
Yeah, apparently the planet was covered in cities and beautiful places. And
I fear they may have been better caretakers of their space than we have been of ours.
Maybe.
Would we have time alone without them around listening to us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we need to have some talks.
They would have difficulty moving around your ship because it's not made for really wide things.
And we have gravity.
Yeah. And they don't try to dissect one of you. Though they might be thinking about it, because
they might.
How else do you learn?
We're not getting probed today.
Maybe an anal probe.
But hey, look, they don't know we dissected one up there, so
He was already dead though. So,
Mm.
but yeah.
So we're at 2 hours. Why don't you paint me a picture of the future on what you imagine this all ends up like?
well, our goal seems to be to direct them away immediately from Earth just because of the vast differences between species and stuff. I'm obviously leaving that discretion to handle the scientists, but as a citizen of Earth, I get a say in this. But
You've probably also found other planets that aren't very good for human life, but might
Yeah,
work
for them.
for them.
but just as this is a very civil introduction between the two species, so
I think long term, we'd look at least for creating an agreement with them to create some kind of human representation or council for them to interact with our myriad of trade conglomerates and giant corpos and everything else we have going on, for them to exist in our solar system and be in contact with us. They need to be able to be equipped for the strangest thing we have to explain to them, probably being what is capitalism, and how they can survive it, and how they can create trade and something with us in a way that is sustainable to them, and that they don't get enslaved by humans or corporations or
Yeah.
that.
The you find that their social structure might be closer to, I say, a hive, but not really a hive mind. It's more like they all work together for their society. And like I say, if one of them dies, somebody takes his place, they just go on. Um, but they're smart enough to get the idea of how trade and bartering makes sense. You do something for me, I'll do something for you.
Mm.
Um, yeah, maybe you form the first intergalactic trade
Yeah.
council.
Yeah, exactly. And something built at least until they're able to participate in their own. And that sounds really bad, actually. I don't know. I'm not
When
sure how to do that in a way that's fair to.
after it develops and things start, it's all
Yeah.
part of our culture. Then the only unfortunate thing in your ears is that they end up being called the slugoids.
Oh, no.
We can't pronounce what they call themselves, but humans more, insensitive people just immediately start calling them slugoids, and it just
Right.
catches on. What do you think, Dr. Sathoff?
Well, I'm not a big fan of the name slugoids, but I do think that the slugoids could actually teach humanity about a
Exactly.
few
Yeah.
things,
There's
and
things you teach
so
each other, yeah.
yeah, so we can learn some things from them, and then hopefully maybe in some way improve humanity.
Yeah.
And slugoidity. Slugoidity? What do you think, Lot?
Lot has a lot in common with uh, with these with this species, in that he sees, like, as an android, he doesn't have that same value on the individual or life. I think he I think they notice this in him as well. They notice that he is different, that he is created to serve. Um, he's very similar in many ways to they are. And I think he sort of, since he was one of the first other beings that they met, sort of becomes sort of a consultant
Yeah,
Or,
I think that's a great idea to have as an intermediary. Because that's far better than humans deciding their future for them. Let them decide their future with you as the gateway between us.
I would
yeah,
want
And
to
they
know
also don't.
if there's any android slugoids.
Yeah.
I think
There doesn't seem to be. There's definitely a lot of sophisticated mechanisms and things they have, but they don't really seem to know the difference between a human and an android, other than the fact that you're composed of slightly different elements and materials. But alive is alive, useful is useful, helpful is helpful. They don't distinguish the difference. Um, However, you seem to be able to communicate. You've absorbed their language and their communication very well. They feel very comfortable speaking with Lot as their representative. Yeah. So it wasn't a horror show this time. It didn't go in that direction, but um, that's more or less all I've got. I did
Nice.
have some ideas. I didn't think of the ship until we were going. I thought you'd get to the planet and you'd discover I had the ideas that you would discover these cities that had been blasted in,
Mm,
as if something coming from the star had
roasted.
whapped, whapped them out. Um, Actually, Lakai is a real star. It
Oh, really?
is almost 11 light years away, and it is considered a flare star,
Ooh.
um, which occasionally it suddenly gets extremely bright and
Mm.
sends out solar flares, and then it dims back down again.
And that
I
flare
wasn't
is what
sure
we
if you
ran
were
into.
going to be standing in your ship noticing the light outside suddenly gets brighter and then darker or something, but
Shit.
just
Mhm.
just that's really all I had in my head was
Nice.
that you were headed towards a flare star that you weren't aware was sending out radiation, and that you'd find a civilization that had been wiped out.
I chickened out on wanting to go to the planet after
Hey,
the,
happy
the, the,
flares.
the slugoids were leaving it because solar flares were heading out. And I'm like, yeah, I don't
Oh,
want to get caught up in that.
no.
Yeah, no, I was like, I think for John, this is just like a day in a life thing. He's gonna
Yeah.
completely move on from it, and he doesn't care about the science part. But
Like,
yeah, no,
yeah, but didn't get to shoot anything.
he's a little
I
disappointed.
could have had that moment where the computer says you have about 18 minutes before that solar flare hits your ship.
Yeah.
mm,
Oh.
sun going
Uh,
supernova in 2 hours.
and part of, I guess, let's see, where was I drawing stuff from in my head? Remember the old Star Trek, the original series? There were the Horta, which
Hmm.
were these large slugoid things that lived underground and they dug tunnels. And what's funny is they're monsters and they kill people. And then you find out that the miners have been destroying their eggs. And then you find out that they're intelligent because Spock mind melds with one of them. And then in the lower decks, I think it was, which was the cartoon, which is very, very good and fun to watch. There's a Horta as a member of the ship, as part of the crew. So they're part of Starfleet. They've joined the crew, and why not Slugoids?
Mhm.
Uh, and Slugoid actually, I was in a monastery, so I studied theology. And one of the things that kept coming up was what happens if we go to an alien planet and we find living, intelligent creatures there? Do we teach them about Jesus? And it's like theologically, no, because Jesus was a human to save humans. That was part of the process. So if there was a real Jesus, he would also be a slugoid Jesus on
Unborn Jesus.
Slugoid World to save the Slugoids. And theoretically, if you went to a dozen planets and found life on all of them, and they all had a Slugoid
Messiah figure.
Jesus or Romulan Jesus or whatever, then you go, I think there might be something to the religion if
Uh,
if
Klingon
Jesus went
Jesus.
on all of the planets. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Was it good?
That was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, the sense of wonder and discovery was there without the horror, and then that is something interesting to experience as a change. Is
Yeah.
Yes. I I was tempted at the end there to turn it a little dark with sort of a something with the android, and I was like, you know what? There's enough darkness for one day. We'll take a break. This is kind of a nice story.
they're getting introduced to humanity. That's going to be the biggest challenge they ever face.
Yeah.
No, the clash
They're
of
gonna be-
cultures.
Let's hope
And the
they're not,
reason
like,
why
turned into fine
reason-
dining.
the reason why I named this one Omni Ignotem Pro Magnifico
Oh, yes.
Est is it means everything unknown is taken as grand, which is a good attitude to have.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Where's my exit? Oh, here it is. Our players included Mike McKinn, Joe Bardellis, Justin Bumgardner, and Sawyer Hill, with yours truly as the game warden. Wait, did I get everybody? No. Who did I leave out?
Got me. I think I know you
Yeah,
got
you got
Mike.
me.
Me.
Did you get Justin?
Oh, okay.
Got
There are
me.
only 4 of you. That's what
Yeah,
threw me
yeah,
off.
they had no last good. So.
Our players included Mike McKinn, Joe Bardellis, Justin Bumgardner, and Sawyer Hill, with yours truly as the game warden. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the strange and sometimes terrifying universe of the Mothership role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.